I don't really have a group of people that I ride with. I'm just happy to ride with everyone. But I think after a ride like I had with Brage today, which was absolutely at my max, I'm very excited to probably this weekend go for a ride with my dad and just connect and relax and just enjoy a nice mellow ride. And I'm going to enjoy them both equally. They're just different.
Just time on bikes, right?
Just time on bikes.
Yeah. Welcome back to NSMB podcast. My name is Deniz Merdano, and thank you for joining me today. I hope you're having a wonderful December so far and staying warm and cozy on those frozen, muddy trails. And for our friends down in the Southern Hemisphere, we're envious of you. Well, today I'm joined by a mountain biker sweetheart, Steve Vanderhoek. Steve, a firefighter and extremely talented mountain biker who can dissect one of the most technical moves and the consequential moves on North Shore and beyond with a surgeon's precision. We love watching him ride. We love watching him talk. And I got to talk with him about the projects that he's working on, projects that we worked on together, and what does it take to be a first responder and a mountain biker on the North Shore. I hope you enjoy it. All right, welcome everyone. This is the NSMB podcast, and we're here with Steve Vanderhoek in North Shore. Like, we didn't wander off too far.
In my home.
I'm home, yeah.
This is in my home.
It's a great home.
This is going to be a very comfortable podcast.
And I think last time I was here was around Christmas time too, and I enjoyed the amount of decorations and the vibes and this house. It's a house. It's home.
It's Kelsey.
It's home.
I'm lucky to be with a woman like Kelsey.
That's so cool.
She's like interior decorator, real estate photographer. She goes and shoots high-end real estate, comes back with her ideas.
Yeah.
That we don't have the money for, but she makes it work.
Yeah, you could just go to Michael's and make it work.
Yeah, we look high-end on a low budget.
That's awesome. You got to look the part, and that's great. Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here, man.
This is super fun, and this is quite informal, which is, I think, the nicest way of doing it.
That's my style.
Yeah.
How
was your day?
Today I'm actually on a bit of a come down today. I just got to go on a ride of my favorite trails on Seymour with Brage Vestovic, Jeff Gulovich, and my good buddy Owen Cartouche from Raceface, and it was hectic, man. Like a
bunch of amateurs riding the North Shore.
Just a bunch of amateurs. Yeah. No, it was insane. Like, you think you've ridden here all your life, and you think you're at a certain level, and you think you're kind of good and gnarly, and then you go ride with a guy that's like that far above you, and it's eye-opening and respectful and awesome. So how does that work? Like, inviting someone who's never ridden here. I don't think Brage has been here. I mean, he's been here for the week or so. Yeah, he's been Pemby. He just got back from the island riding Prevost with some of the fast kids out there, and then I think this was his first taste of he rode Fifth Horseman a week ago, and then today was his first Seymour.
And what a good introduction. Fifth Horseman is probably one of the better introductions to the North Shore.
I mean, Fifth Horseman, if you don't know it, like, that place has a special place in my heart.
And it has everything.
It has everything, and like when I was a young kid, Ken Mott from current Lynn Valley Bikes owner took me out there, and my dad paid him to coach me down it. So, like, that trail will always be my favorite on the shore. Like, I've shot videos on it. I test my bikes on it. I think that trail's cool. It's got flow, old school jumps, NARS to the NAR steps, and it just runs great in all conditions. So.
And it has a backcountry feel to it too.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of ride it and you pop out to that western exposure looking over like Horseshoe Bay, and you're like, what? This is a different... Yeah, where am I now?
Where are we?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Great trail.
So you guys rode Seymour, and you took him on some of your moves, some of your trails. How did that go? How did that experience go? Like, showing someone that you knew that can ride anything. Like, do you expect him to ride in a certain level, or like? Yeah.
I think, like, the guy who's coming here, he's got everyone wanting to tug at him to come out and ride. So I wanted to make sure I gave him a good, fun day of biking with no expectations. But I knew, like, the level that this guy's at and what he wants to do. So I think, like, I was riding at my 100% speed limit, like, fastest I've ever ridden down some dark side trails, and the guy's like right on my ass. like my arms are so, like I've never had arm pump like that in my life. And he was just, you know, like a guy like that, like I kind of idolize the guy, man. Like I think he's one of the coolest guys out there, one of the best riders. And, you know, I'm pulling for gaps, almost blowing up in holes. And I just hear him like, yeah, buddy, just screaming behind me. I'm like, okay, like I'm doing my job here. I'm giving this guy, and that's all I want to do. Like, I just want to ride with my friends and show them a good time. And then when we got to like the actual gnarly features, like he'd ride him with me, I'd tow him in, and then he'd go back and hit them at, you know, like 50% faster, which is crazy.
That is really cool to see, right?
With like so much control. Like you can tell that the guy used to be a racer and he's just like immersed in that kind of gnarliness. And
that's part of the North Shore, right? Like you can ride something 100 times and every time it has slightly sketchy feel to it because it's ever changing terrain.
Yeah.
Every time it rains, it changes the trail. Every time you ride it, it changes the trail. So it's a new experience.
Yeah.
Every time you ride the trail that you know.
Totally.
And someone comes in first time and just has a great time on it.
Yeah, actually, I had just gone down there with a saw the day before, and I raked it and I cleared everything out. So I knew all the lines, and he didn't know them, and he's still just like holding pace, which was like insane. But I think like I have my limit of how hard I want to push, and you can just tell his limit is that much higher than mine, and it's cool to see it all. Like if I tried to push as fast as him, I'd explode, and I know that, so I pull it back, and he can like go that much further. It's like one of my favorite things about where I've been able to get my kind of self in the industry is just being able to ride with these different people like Gully and Bearcloth and Johnny Solito and all these cool guys from around the world. It's just such a fun experience to go see their stuff, have them come here and just like see their eyes just be like, this is insane.
How does that feel?
And it's the shore, man. Like the shore is, it's special and it's cool to share that.
That is so cool. And I imagine he had a great time.
Yeah. We were driving down the Mount Seymour Parkway on the way out, and we rolled up to a stop sign, and he rolled his window down. And he's just like, gave me a little chin nod of respect. He's like, that day's gonna stay in my memories, bro.
That's so cool.
Takes off. I'm like, that's cool. And like, you know, he's got a Red Bull helmet and he's an insane rider, but he's still just a person. But it's cool to be able to like share a day like that.
And there's no camera crew or anything. It's just friends riding bikes.
Just for the love of riding bikes.
That's so fun.
And like you can tell that guy loves riding bikes, and it gets me fired up, which is why, you know, I'm just coming down from that high from today.
That's so cool. And so this is your 4th day off, and you're back to work tomorrow.
Back to work tomorrow. I think I rode. It's unseasonably nicer now. We had a bunch of rain. It's December 5th now, and that was 4 days of perfect weather.
It was.
So I took full advantage of it. I'm very tired. Gonna go into work.
You're full. Your bucket's full.
I'm bucket's full. I'm gonna sleep amazing tonight. We got a heavy storm coming tomorrow, so at the fire hall I'll be busy with flooding and car accidents.
Some people may not know you're a firefighter.
Yeah.
Not quite a paramedic, but you guys do a lot of paramedic.
Yeah.
First response.
Yeah, I was a licensed paramedic before I got into fire, and I've maintained that license. And now I'm going into my 12th year of full-time firefighting. Yeah. And
that schedule works for you, and
yeah, it's great. Like we work 24-hour shifts. So even though it seems like I have quite a bit of time off, but I still work by like 48 hours a week. So I get my hours in, but I work while people sleep. And we're pretty busy here in North Van City. I'd say, you know, on average, we maybe do like 5 to 8 calls per night. So like you're not getting much rest.
Right.
But yeah, it gives me lots of time to go shooting with Kelsey, test bikes, travel, like kind of living the dream, man. I'm loving it.
Right, because when it's off. You move on with your life, and then you go to work intense, and move out of it.
I like to say I leave it at the fire hall, but I mean I have struggled with that this year and the previous year. Just like as I've gotten a bit older and gone through my career, like I have struggled to leave it at the fire hall. So there have been certain calls that have been sticking with me more, but nearing the end of a year-long project here that you've been able to be around for, where I'm just going to kind of shed some light into that and some of the things that first responders go through from the mental health side of things, and just how to find the joy in life and keep it going even after you see some of these things.
So a lot of your coworkers and first responders on the North Shore are mountain bikers themselves, or
Yeah.
they're in adventure sports, some extreme sports as well. Is that, like, how does that connection work at the fire hall when you look into each other, eye to eye, and know that outside of the fire hall you have a relationship as well as riding buddies or adventure buddies?
Yeah, it's really cool because this job seems to, especially here, attract very like-minded people. Not to use a ultra cliche term, but each person there seems to be like high energy. Always wanted to look for the best in life and challenge themselves. So everyone that's there is usually wanting to, go camping or skiing or biking or do something in the backcountry. So on our days off, we come back to work and like, oh, how was your weekend? Like, oh, I was down freaking wingsuiting down in here. You're like, oh man, that's insane. I was riding with Brage, and it's really cool. And we all ride together, we hang together, we support each other, and through the highs and lows, it's a very cool one hall department that I work for.
And you don't get to relax at work. It's full on dealing with really tough stuff.
Definitely. I do think that, like everyone likes to laugh and say 2 barbecues, 2 sleepovers. Like, how's that for you? And I don't really care what people say, but some departments are obviously slower. Like if you work in a municipality with 20 halls, if you've got an outlying hall, sure, you might be able to go to bed and have 0 calls. And that sounds really nice as I get a bit older here. But like I said, we are super busy. But one hall in kind of the busiest part of North Vancouver, dealing with overdoses and medicals ranging from heart attacks to abdominal pain, headaches, seizures, strokes, all those things. So got to have a good level of medical training, and then go to wires down during storms, fires, marine accidents, trail rescues. We go to everything. So it's actually hard to maintain a high level of training in all these things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the fire department is responsible for mountain bike rescues as well, right, on the North Shore?
Yeah.
It's no longer North Shore.
Well, North Shore Rescue, and forgive me, I'm going to get there's a certain distance into the forest that the district or West Van will respond.
Right.
And then past that, we'll go straight to NSR. And then a lot of times there'll be mutual aid. Like if there's somewhere far in the backcountry or dark side of Seymour, district may respond and then realize that it's going to be dark in an hour, and they'll call up North Shore Rescue and they'll get a mutual aid, maybe a helicopter extraction. But yeah, definitely the key for takeaway with that is if you are hurt, don't delay calling.
Right.
Because it can take us a long time to do extractions.
Yeah, and it doesn't cost you anything.
Exactly. Yeah, we're here happy to help you.
Right. And it must help the whole organization to have mountain bikers that know the trails, know the mountains.
Absolutely.
Know the backcountry.
I've actually got, I work for North Van City, as I said, district surrounds me, so I don't actually respond to a lot of the mountain bike crashes, but I've been called before. I can hear sirens in the background, the phone, and it's the captain or a buddy being like, hey man, we're on our way to, X, whatever, YZ trail. Where is it? I'm like, ooh, that's a tough one, man. Like, that's going to be, hit this trail, turn left here, go down here. When you see the first log, go right. And I'll drop them a pin. And I'm like, just call North Shore Rescue. Like, You're not getting this person out.
That's crazy. And how does that feel, having mountain bikers that you work with and then doing projects with them afterwards outside of the hall? You have more special connections within the hall probably, and
Totally.
some of the fellas that I met, and they seem to not be copies of you, but they seem to think in a very similar manner, and the way they work seem to be very methodical in the way that you work, and they seem to be a communication that is almost silent.
Yeah.
That you guys can in sync with. Can you touch into that a little bit?
Yeah, I think, that's not a loaded question, but I have a lot of things I want to say. So I'm going to say, the term ignorance is bliss is true. And in this job, you lose the ability to just be ignorant to accidents. So I think in the back of your mind, you're always aware of what could happen, and you're always planning. You're thinking multiple steps ahead of, what you're going to do, your access and your egress. And a lot of times it just changes your risk analysis and your decision making, because you'll see things, you're like, well, I've seen a person hit a tree like this and I've had to extricate them. Like, and once you see that, ruins your confidence and you're like, yeah, I don't want to do that.
Right.
But yeah, like I think one of the coolest things is in my recent build that I did, that I had you photographing, I had some of the guys from Vancouver Fire and the Just North End, they came out and they were my medics for that day. And they brought out backboards and AEDs, and they were on site ready to, intervene if they needed to.
Yeah, and that was really cool to see how prepared you were for the worst case scenario,
Yeah.
Which is not something that you want to think about, worst case scenario, but it's...
I can't not anymore, though.
Right.
Especially this year, we've had, with Andrew Chu, a good friend passing this year, like it's really even brought the risk even closer to home. And it's totally affected me and a lot of people. I know a lot of people have some people even considered giving up biking. They're like, what's the point? I mean, for me, the point is nothing makes me more fulfilled and happy than building and riding bikes. So for me, it's just deciding how I can change my perspective. And if I don't feel like I used to have to go out and ride the gnarliest things, and that's what I found my satisfaction in. And now some days I'm off and I just don't push it anymore.
Right.
But yeah, I was going somewhere with that thought, and then I got my normal ADHD brain so you might have to re-rail me here.
That's all right. I think
it's all good.
Yeah. It is a community effort.
Yeah.
Like, riding is extremely selfish and individualistic act. Getting out on your mountain bike, and it's to clear your own head, and it's the perfect way to do it. But it takes a whole lot of community to make that happen.
100%.
The people who organize the rides, the people who build the trails, the people who get you out of the trails when something goes wrong. So it's as widespread as it goes, and you have insane amount of professions that involve in mountain biking. You have your lawyers, you have your you have your paramedics, you have your firefighters, you have your entertainers. So it's really cool to kind of learn about different people and that you wouldn't know otherwise.
It's what makes it so great. Like, everyone, you kind of create the group of people that you like being with, and right. Everyone brings something to the table, and it's great. Like, I've already said it before, but that backcountry build that I did, it was cool to see, 12, 13, 14, however many people were there the day of. It's kind of like a collection of some of my favorite people with everything they bring to the table. Like, I had Caleb Holanko there, who's I think he's the gnarliest guy in the shore. So I had him there as a friend and a guy that I could bounce ideas off of. I had you there as fellow trail builder, guy that just wanted to come hang out, and also, photographer, and that was really amazing. And then I had other guys that were like NF that sponsored me and just wanted to be there. My wife filming, my friends that were first aiders, my other buddies that maybe wanted to hit the feature that day. And then just all these collective people coming together just to make the most special day. And we had great success, had some beers, day for the books. That to me is why I ride bikes.
Mr. Pepinillos, why are we calling Mr. Pepinillos?
That one is just...
I had multiple people ask me this, so I
don't really have a great answer for that one. I just usually think of something that makes me laugh in the moment. And I think it was coming off of Crankworks, I just had a ton of picklebacks, and I just like pickles. And then my one buddy went to Mexico, and he came back and just started calling me Mr. Pepinillos, which is just Mr. Pickle. And, would be on pretty serious calls in the fire department, and he'd be like, hey, Mr. Pepinillos. And you just say it, and I just laugh about it. And when I thought about what I was going to call this one, that name was making me laugh the hardest at the moment. So there is literally no deep meaning to that other than...
that's the best.
It makes me laugh.
Yeah, phonetically, it sounds great.
Yeah.
And the feature itself is nothing to be laughed at.
It's scary.
As serious as it gets. But it was so cool. It was not a random... There was nothing random about it. Can you tell me about the process of why you chose that and when you saw that rock? What did you think, and what it took to get to you deciding, okay, we're doing this? Because you did tell me that, hey, we might build this, but I may not ride it.
I was really ready to not ride that.
Yeah, and that was the coolest thing I heard, like putting through all that effort and maybe not riding it.
Yeah, that. So for starters, with that one, I think my inspiration for that was, one, I'd build a bunch of big slabs, and I was, well, not that I'm getting bored of it, but I'm like, okay, I want to build a really gnarly slab off a really big drop, and I want to merge my love for natural terrain, and then I want to build something like myself. Like I want to build like a big landing. So I wanted to have like a little bit of natural, kind of blended with the natural terrain, but also like just something stupid big construction. And then that was inspiration number one. Inspiration number two being, I was tired of sneaking around in the local area where, it's a little bit frowned upon for doing some digging. Like I was getting annoyed at my creativity being limited by receiving a criminal record and for doing what I love. So I have no problem saying it. Like and then that end, being in the small area that I build in, I know that people are always watching what I'm doing. And the second I were to drop it, there'd be a flood of people coming to ride my feature. Like, ooh, like let's poach it. Let's get it up on Instagram or YouTube. Right. So all my work would just, not that I don't want to share things with people, but sometimes it's nice to just have your own thing. So Matt Beer, he told me about this 2 to 3 years ago. He's like, he was in the backcountry camping, and he came across something, and he's like, hey man, I saw a zone that you might be really interested in. I'm like, well, okay. Generally when people tell me that, I'm like, I go and look, and it's not, because it was so far away. It's about 3 hours from my home here. And yeah, eventually, after a year or two, I drove on the backcountry, grabbed my motorcycle, and when I came across it, it was like a rampage site of Squamish, just this insane, perfect rock, dirt, aesthetically pleasing. I'm like, damn, I found the zone. This is amazing. I
have to.
I guess I have to. I'm like, well, this sucks. Like, this is far away. And I'm like, okay, I got on my motorcycle, started walking around, and first came across what is now Mr. Pepinillo's. And I'm like, there's no way I could make this work. Like, I do not even know the first thing about how to build this. And then, I think 15 build days later, it was built. Taught myself how to use an Alaskan mill, bunch of masonry work, concrete work, rock drilling. Yeah, it was an absolute process to get that done, especially like 3 hours of commuting every day. I'd get up at 4:30 or 5. I'd be on site at 8 in the morning. I'd dig all day. Then usually leave about 5 or 6. I get home at 9. I go to work the next day, just completely punched. And yeah, I loved every minute of it. I think I had actually just been off work on a little bit of a leave after some bad calls, and like that was the best thing I could have done. I mean, you were there for a couple of days, and I remember the visual of sitting there milling, looking into snow-capped mountains while there was wildflowers blooming around me. I'm like, this is good.
It is a special place.
It's a really special place, and it's super far away.
Yeah.
And it's not like I said, it's not that I don't want to share. I just wanted to have my creativity unbound. Like, I wanted to be able to do everything I wanted at my pace without hiding, and just do what I wanted. And that was to build a 30+ foot drop off a rock roll.
But it wasn't just about the drop, right? Like everything had to be perfect for it to work.
Yeah.
Is that how you usually build your stuff? Like when you see it, you see yourself, visualize yourself doing it, and the run out, the run in, or you just want a slight element of surprise when you ride as well?
I definitely, my send it days are over, and I enjoy the process of it. I like to look at all the variables and like make my decisions on whether it's like a safe risk or just a stupid risk. And before I built the landing, a few buddies like drew to my attention like how heinous my entrance was that I was going to do. And I'm like, no, that's fine. And then once I finished the landing, I went and actually focused on it. And I'm like, you know what? This is like no margin for error. Like if I slipped even a little bit, I was 100% not facing the drop anymore. So, for me, that was that was a variable that I needed to deal with. So did a bunch of rock work, widened out the rock and made it rideable. So that was like a check mark for me. And then the next thing was, if I blew the corner on the entrance, I was going to fall off and be super hurt. So I put a little retaining log there. I had my buddy rappelled off the end of it to catch me the first time I hit it. And like, those are the things that are kind of important to me now. Like, if I can't ride it in my brain, or if I can't get over that hurdle of what that challenge is, I'll fix it or I won't do it. So that's like, I don't want to die. I love riding. I mean, Caleb said it really well the other day. It's like, there's the hashtag ride or die. Well, how about ride and don't die? Like, I don't want to die for the, like, would I die for the sport? I really don't want to.
No,
I just want to keep.
I want to keep doing.
I want to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And this is my other like kind of thing that I'm picking up with lately is, everyone always says like, I want to push my limits. I love pushing the limits of the sport. I'm like, okay, well, fair, but do you know what happens when you find your limit? Like, I know you say you like it, but when you find your limit, it's either death or serious injury.
Right.
So like, are you prepared for that actually? So, and I don't know if that's just what comes with age and experience, but I don't want to die. I want to keep doing this forever. I ran into North Shore Betty today.
Yep.
Do you know how old Betty is? I actually don't.
Betty is
I don't want to be disrespectful.
76 years old.
And I told Betty today, I looked at her and I said, I had a crazy day with Brage.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I just don't want to be riding when I'm your age.
Yeah, it's incredible. She is definitely one of a kind.
Yeah, she's amazing.
She's incredible. And I guess part of it is healthy body as well, right? Like, this is not an easy sport, and the things that we do to our bodies riding bikes the way we do takes a toll.
Definitely.
Do you have, I mean, you're fit, you're strong, you're
trying
young-ish.
Youngish.
And that's part of it, is that building that armor with muscle. And I'm in no way old, but I'm getting older every day. And I think I've learned that you can't expect the same from your body and mind without either putting more work in or giving things up and making sacrifices. Like, I can't think I can go eat McDonald's and get hammered 5 times a week and expect to go ride my bike and not have joint pain or have like a foggy head. So I've made like a ton of changes and sacrifices over the last couple of years, and they're not even things that I care giving up, because like being fit, being clear-minded, to go ride with my friends and do what I love, that's what's most important to me. So I don't really view it as giving thing up. I'm just like, I have my time with that. So there's so many non-biking related activities that you do to improve your biking experience.
Yeah, definitely. Like, for me, I've focused, and it's cool to see like I'm happy to admit it. With the fire hall, I'd say I developed like a pretty bad drinking problem. Like, with the stresses and anxieties and like some of the calls I've been to, I started like drinking really heavily, and I did it knowing I was doing it to like numb things out. I even tell Kelsey, I'm like, tonight I'm drinking for the wrong reason. She's like, okay. She's so supportive. Like, she's incredible. But then I really, not only did I see that as a crutch that was not good for me progressing in all aspects of my life, but it just health-wise, it's makes you all bunged up in the head, and you get fat and get joint pain and muscle atrophy. It's not good. So for me, like, I gave up drinking for almost 2 years, and now I'm back like very casually having a few, and I have no problem with people that drink at all. Like, I don't care. It's just, for me, I had to get control over it again. And I feel like I have control over it. Like, I can do a ride. I can have a beer without like coming home and then having 6 more. And like I said, no judgment pass. I noticed it was really limiting my quality of life. So I got control of that. And then diet has been something that I've really been enjoying diving into, which is a really annoying world, because you got YouTubers, you got Instagram fitness influencers. You have one group saying that the carnivore diet is the be all end all. The next is saying that the vegan diet is the be all end all, which is like, couldn't be more opposite. You're like, how do I pick the right thing to do when there's, but anyways, silly tangent to go down. But anyways, for me, I've just been eating whole food ingredients and simple stuff. And it's insane. Like I sleep better, put on muscle mass more, less joint pain. It's great. And it's like, okay, this is cool. Like it's not that much effort to eat well, and I feel like amazing. So that's been fun.
That's great. Yeah. And mental aspect of it is, it's a huge part of it. Asking for help when you realize you need help.
Yeah, it's what I did this year for sure. Like I'm very comfortable talking about it. I definitely don't want to push those topics on people that don't want to listen, but
Fair enough.
that's what I got friends like you for. So
We're always ready to listen anytime. That's so cool. And so what are you excited about now? Like, I don't want to say what's next, but like what is exciting for you to get out and do what you do on the bike?
yeah, so for a couple of things, one in particular that I'm extremely excited about, and I think it started with a bunch of people coming up asking me about my relationship with my wife, and like, oh, would you ever create a behind the scenes video of what it takes to make your edits? And I'm like, it's actually kind of a cool idea. So I got Jeff Livingston hired on this year, pulled a bunch of budget from a bunch of brands, and started, basically it was going to get a year and a half of footage of Jeff just following us around, shooting behind the scenes of everything. And that's really evolved into, I mean, it's snowballed into a huge project now. Like we have Johan's crash and his recovery, coming back to riding, the legacy of Andrew Chu. Like I filmed days with him before his passing, and then I have a bunch of tribute stuff we've worked on for him, building of lines, going to Utah, the fire hall, booking off on like a mental health claim there, and then reaching out to a bunch of the other people that have been instrumental in creating our critical incident stress management team, talking with them. And so our goal is to release this in the spring, but it'll, those are just some of the topics. My relationship with my dad and my brother, and how biking has brought us together and improved our life. All that. And my goal is to premiere it on the North Shore somewhere large scale, make a community event out of it. In the next coming weeks, I'd like to, create like a contest or something where people can submit videos to me or go create a video between now and the thing, and then premiere their videos as well, like little shorts, like edits of Groms, or just so I just want to create a big North Shore community night. Again,
a community event. Yeah.
Yeah. So it'd be, my film plus a bunch of other community films, bring in some speakers to talk about risk assessment, like my buddies from North Shore Rescue, some mental health talk, just share the love of the sport. And I think the sport's amazing. That's the one takeaway. And then the other is, it's okay to not be okay. You don't have to make a big deal about it. Just surround yourself with amazing community people. And that's how you get through it.
It takes a village?
It takes a village.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I really like I'm not looking for like a poor me thing here. I'm really just trying to show people that it's totally okay to be okay, and you're not alone. Like if you're having a bad time, a lot of us are having a bad time. Mm-hmm. If you ball it up, don't talk about it, definitely becomes worse. But just find those people that you just like being around, and that you're comfortable around. If you're uncomfortable saying these things to people, maybe you're not around the right people.
Right.
So, hard one to sum up what I want to do with this film, but yeah, that's my goal. My goal is to create something very community driven. And
it doesn't feel like a finite thing. It feels like hopefully it'll evolve into a forever thing.
Exactly. Yeah, totally. Like I went into this film at kind of my lowest point of my life in the last little while. And that was like the opening segment to this film is like, yeah, I'm kind of effed up right now, but hopefully by the end of this year, I'm less effed up. So, and I am, and it's just through chatting about it and not making it more than it needs to be.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's one thing. And then other than that, a bunch of other, I want to shoot another edit on Fifth Horseman. I want to continue building my line into like what I would consider my own personal rampage line. Like Mr. Pepinillo's is 4 more features that will come after it.
Right.
And yeah, just ride with my friends, do my officer course at the fire hall right now. So get my captain's course.
Okay.
It's actually a really busy year.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, you need
Kinda
more on your
sucks.
plate. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then to top it all off, they're like, hey, do you want to teach the emergency vehicle operations course and also build it because we don't have one? I'm like, yeah, of course I do. So now I'm also the instructor for all fire truck operations for my department. So that's cool, but
Yeah. I mean, you're a guy. You like knobs and
I like
shiny things.
twisting
and
knobs and pulling levers.
toggle switches. And
I got a pretty mechanical brain, so I like it, but
Yeah.
I'm really bad at saying no. But I have a very full year ahead of me.
Right.
So
You always ran your own program with bikes and stuff, right? Like you picked and choose and
Exactly.
what works for you. How's that working?
It's very cool. I think I get asked sometimes from people around the world. They'll send me messages and be like, "Hey, like, how do you get sponsored? Like, what was it like trying to get it?" And I'm like, "Dude, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but like, I didn't want it. I did not pursue it, and I've never sent out a sponsorship email in my entire life because that seems like a lot of work. But I think, I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to sound cocky by saying this, but I think if you truly just do what you love, sometimes good things can happen. And I just went out in the backcountry, built a bunch of lines that I thought were exciting and fit my style. And because of that, Remy and Johan reached out to me. They're like, "Ooh, that looks really exciting." So then I went and created YouTube videos with them, and those kind of brought my Instagram numbers up a little bit. And then I had brands start to reach out to me and be like, "Hey, that's really cool. Like, maybe you could go do that line, but with our bike, and we'll give you one." I'm like, "Ooh, sick. That sounds cool." And it's just snowballed into that. And then really the only reason I have this is because my wife is a very talented photographer and filmer.
Yeah.
And
Kelsey Toes.
Kelsey Toes, and she shoots it all.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah. So, hey, she's yelling from above. Get back to work. But yeah, normally, like, if you're a professional athlete and you had an idea, you pitch the idea to a brand, and then they find a filmer, you find a filmer, and then all three of you guys meet up and got to make it happen on that day. Whereas for me, like, we have an idea, and then we're like, "Oh, we'll get it done when we get it done." And then usually once we're done it, we'll just like show it to a brand. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I love this," and then they'll pay for it or throw their name on it.
Right.
But I love riding bikes so much that I would never sacrifice riding a product that I didn't like. I know that probably seems like a shameless plug, but I've said no to many brands because I'm like, it's not worth it to me to not enjoy my time on my bike.
Right.
So everything that I ride, I can easily say it's what I'd ride anyways. So it's nice to, spend less on it.
Great to be in a position to be able to say no. That's
Totally.
That's a great spot.
Well, and just like to be in a position of promoting a product that I believe in is really nice. Like, if I'm out there saying, "Hey, this Maxxis tire really helped me on this slab," it did. Like, it did. Like, it's straight up. Like, that's what I want to run, and that's why I choose to run it. So,
is there anything specific about bikes these days that you're really excited about, like your bike or bikes in general?
Yeah, I think I like to see that the extreme numbers are kind of pulling back a little bit, like the super, super slack and the super, super long. I'm starting to see numbers get a little bit more neutral and comfortable. I like seeing topics that I've argued with people before about, like hub engagement and what do you call that? Yeah, like pedal feedback and brake jack and stuff like that being like affecting suspension performance, and people telling me that it doesn't, and then trying products like an O-chain or less engagement hubs and seeing that effect it has and how much smoother it is. And you're like, oh, that actually is a thing. And then there's O-chain and Rimpact and all these different brands coming out with ways to reduce pedal feedback. I find that really cool. Like, I like those small little issues that some people don't think are an issue, but actually do give you improvements in your ride. I love that stuff. And then, yeah, braking and suspension. I'm a mega nerd when it comes to tuning.
You're arguably one of the most controlled brake users on the North Shore.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it's incredible because watching you use your brake is like Morse code. Like you're sending messages to outer space. Please make these tires stick.
Don't die. Yeah.
So that must be a super important thing for you, like the feel of the brakes and the amount of power they have.
Definitely.
How quickly you can access that power.
Yeah, it's cool to see, like, try different brake compounds and then like see how a brake is marketed with all out power versus like modulation, or what's too much modulation. Like, I'm not going to go throw certain brands under the bus, but one of the most common OE spec ones that I ran for a long time, you just feel like you're pulling so hard. And then I remember riding with Remy and Johan, we'd get halfway down a lap and I'm like death gripping. I'm in so much pain. And they're like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, what do you mean? This is just, how are you guys not pumped out? And then now, I got them these Hayes brakes that I'm riding now, and light lever feel, good modulation, but definitely took me a while to learn that. Like, the power came on way quicker. So in the beginning, I actually regressed with my riding because I would pull way too much brake and I started slipping. I'm like, what the hell? So they have less modulation than a SRAM, but they have a lighter lever feel and easier to access braking power. So there's tons of brands like TRP I haven't tried. I've never even ran Shimano. The new Mavens I'm here sick too, but
they're great products out there. Yeah,
it's so cool that there's so many products you can access, and each one kind of has like their specific thing.
They all have a hand they work for.
Yeah, and like not every product is the best for everyone. Like I could see some people getting on a set of Hayes and maybe having a hard time. Like I say, sometimes having a code is a good training wheel brake because you like can't pull too much brake sometimes. Like pull super hard and you're not even locking up your tires. And sometimes.
What do you weigh? I mean, we're
I'm 180.
180.
I'm light right now.
180 pounds. So it's average, just slightly above average of mountain bikers in general.
Yeah.
And then, like when you're taking advice from people who are saying certain things work for them, you got to make sure they're not 120 pounds or they're not, 250 pounds.
100%.
You got to find your spectrum of total bike mass.
And I think, like I said, I really enjoy this new challenge of being able to ride, test product, and like actually promote things I believe in. And I'm very not pushy. Like I make a point of not being pushy on my social media. I'd rather just use my riding to display the product. And if people reach out to me, they're like, hey man, like I noticed you're on these brakes. Like, do you like them? Yeah, man, I love them. And in my opinion, that should be, the ethical way of selling something.
So are we going to see like signature Steve Vanderhoek signature chainring bolts anytime soon?
I don't know. I'm not looking for any extra
Top
work.
caps,
So maybe. Definitely not looking for extra work.
SV looks pretty good in logo if you sign it.
Make me rich. Make me more money. So
make me more anodized purple.
I need to be able to pay for all my wife's decorations that you can see around me.
Yeah. It's excessive.
But I absolutely love.
That's so cool.
I love nerding out. I have to always gauge the person because I could take that nerd level to the next level. But I'm so happy you asked that question because I know you're a bike tech.
No,
I love bike stuff.
Love nerd stuff.
And some people they are like, oh yeah, man, I haven't checked my tire pressure in like 3 months, and I don't. I'm like, and that's okay. Like they get away with it. For me, I love seeing what subtle changes can make big improvements in my riding.
So what should get better on bikes in your point of view? What are we due for?
Darn, they're currently, I'm reaching into my brain and I'm currently not finding anything that is a complaint of mine, to be honest. Do
they need to be lighter? Do we need lighter bikes? What does your bike weigh? Have you weighed it?
My bikes are usually fairly heavy. Like even I've tried to go light bikes with like wheel sets. That doesn't work. Light casing doesn't work. I think my bike is on average, like a trail bike is 37 to 38.5 pounds.
We currently had a interesting round of discussion at NSMB about Cam's 37-pound trail bikes, and it just ran off on this interesting tangent. And because bikes went too light for a while, right? And
yeah, I mean they get lighter with more aggressive numbers, so you ride them faster, and then they break. Right. So it's funny, like right now I'm on a Troy, which has a 63.5 head angle. It's a 150, 160 mil bike. but like just the way it's built, and the angles are like, I would say like kind of perfect for what I've been looking for. And I'm like riding it like a downhill bike because it's like, it's just like, it's super poppy.
It lets you do that.
Yeah. It's like a mullet. It's super poppy. Yeah, I wish I had a good answer for you on that one, but like, I think I'd be making something up because there isn't anything that have a really strong opinion about. I'm thinking right now, bars and stems, and you know, some guys had a big talk with Brian Park from Pink Bike the other day about like 35 mil bars and his like hate for them, and I'm like, I don't really care. Like I don't care. Like
I am fit. I can handle 35 mil bars.
I know. I maybe I don't pick up on that, and
right.
Like frames, carbon versus aluminum, don't care. Have fun on both of them. I enjoy. I'd say I'm like pretty hard set on carbon rims. I like to have carbon rims. That's where I noticed a big difference in like cornering, holding a line, not getting deflected. Like I remember the first time I tried a set of carbon hoops. I was like, oh, okay, this is nice. Like it's like having a responsive set of skis. Like when you lean into it, they do what they tell you as opposed to like, oh, noodle out. But yeah, like right now I've got a carbon Spartan. It's awesome. Then I got a aluminum Troy, and yeah, I don't know, like the aluminum, a little more flexy, but like I like it.
Right.
Yeah. So what about you? Like what's your, maybe hop on your thing that you want to see changed, and maybe you'll spark an idea.
I mean, I think the only thing that needs to change on my bike is the rider. But no.
Come on now.
I agree. Like I'm always asking for better brakes and tires that, you know, weigh nothing, but also have incredible flat protection. And,
yeah.
But as a whole, I think the bike geometry somewhere around 63.5 to 64 degree, 160 mils of travel in the back and 160, 170 on the front, does everything really, really well. And yeah. I too am not too picky with material they're made out of. Yeah. I like carbon wheels like you. I feel like they're springier out of corners.
Yeah, well said.
And I don't wade as much as you do, but not a huge difference there. But I definitely don't ride as aggressive as you do.
You ride pretty aggressive. I mean, you're building your own line out in my zone too, which is very cool.
It's a mortal's line.
It's pretty cool.
The zone is
all are welcome.
Yeah. It's the bikes are great, and it's those little things, right? Like a lower engagement hub, or slight different spoke count, or spoke tension, or the way you set your brake levers. It's those little things that make you feel comfortable on the bike that makes a bigger difference than trying to find the best setup out there, which is really cool. And I test stuff, so stuff on my bike changes a lot.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take too long to get comfortable with whatever's on the bike. Eventually.
Yeah, testing products is very cool. Yeah, I think I'm kind of on the same boat as you. Like I'm super open to changes in product. Like if someone sends me something that's super different, I'll definitely try it. But yeah.
And how are the trails changing with the bikes? Like are the trails changing for the bikes that we're riding, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean I find that like the shore used to be so janky and still is kind of janky, but now things are just going faster and faster. And I'll notice that the way people are building now is to kind of be able to sustain speeds on trails, you know, like holes are getting filled in, corners are more supportive, certain lines where you might like nuke a tree, then certain obstacles are like speeds have just increased so much. Mm-hmm. There a lot of the shore is definitely getting a lot more flow trails than we'd had in the past. So you're starting to see, you know, it used to all just be big bikes, and now you're seeing a lot more smaller bikes and e-bikes, just all bikes.
Flow is not like equals to boring, right? Like we're talking about North Shore flow, so there's always a rock that's out of place.
Yeah. I definitely like, it's funny. Sometimes I'll have people reach out like, hey man, I'd love to go for a ride with you, but you know, you'd probably be bored. I'm like, I am never bored. Like ever. I'll go ride like Espresso on repeat or Ladies or trails I've ridden 500 times. And if I'm going at 100% of my speed or 20%, I'll find a way to have fun. Like I'll just pop around and do silly gaps or work on a skill. It's all fun.
So you're riding with a you're riding with Brage and
Mental.
and then you go ride with your dad who's getting back into biking.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Like, how's that working for you and him?
Yeah. I mean, I just think I don't feel the same every single day. Like some days I wake up and I feel gnarly and I'm just ready to charge. And other days, like it's the furthest thing from what I want to do. And I just want to ride my bike and, or sometimes I'll show up to Cyprus and people will be like, oh, we're riding fifth with you. Like I remember that video that you shot on Fifth Horseman. Like, are you going to pull for that gap? I'm like, dude, I don't even know if I want to ride my freaking bike today. Like right. I'm chilling. So, sometimes I have different groups of people that I'll ride with different moods I'm feeling, but I don't really have a group of people that I ride with. I'm just happy to ride with everyone. But I think after a ride like I had with Brage today, which was absolutely at my max, I'm very excited to probably this weekend go for a ride with my dad and just connect and relax and just enjoy a nice mellow ride. And I'm going to enjoy them both equally. They're just different.
Just time on bikes, right?
Just time on bikes.
Yeah.
And I'm just really happy that I can share that with my dad. Like as he gets a little bit older and I get a little bit older, I just really don't want to take advantage of any time ahead.
Right.
You can hear my cat scratching in the background.
Oh, barely.
These mics are pretty impressive.
They were good, yeah.
Anyways, sorry.
That's sweet. And you went to Rampage this year. That was your first time?
First time at Rampage.
Rampage.
Yes.
And it was the first time women got to run their own lines. Tell me about that. Like, because you went to Utah previously, like a couple of months ago.
Yep, I went to Utah I knew that I could never go to Utah and shoot a groundbreaking edit, nor did I want to because there's kids doing cliffhangers off of 60-foot step downs. So I wanted to go just to create like a more relatable piece about an individual's first time in terrain that he's never ridden and kind of the process of figuring that out over a 10-day period. And I think that my wife, Kelsey, did a really good job of capturing the vibe of just how out of my element I felt there, but how I just loved every second of it. Like bigger drops, more exposure, didn't know the dirt, smaller jumps, like not even that big jumps, but just having no trees to gauge my speed. Right. So you're coming into these things and somehow with the trees here, I'm able to be like, yeah, that's my speed, brake tap, 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 greased it. There, I'm like, I literally don't know if I'm going to go 50 feet past this thing. Like, this is terrifying. So, like, that was amazing. And then, I brought my bike down, but I only rode like 3 times at Rampage. I just wanted to be a part of it. Like, you know me well. I pretty much throw, like, Rampage is Christmas. I have all the friends over. We bake some cinnamon buns and fruit salads and beers. It's the best day ever. So to go witness that was crazy, but I 100% can say I enjoyed the women's absolutely the most. I think one of my highlights is Cami Nogueira coming up to me being like, hey, Steve, I built a Steve line in my line. And like, that was a really special moment for me. And sure enough, I walked up there and it's like a near vert rock roll to 25-foot drop to Hain shoot. I'm like, you certainly did.
Yeah, I wouldn't ride that.
Yeah, that's something. And yeah, just like watching the women come together and supporting each other and just being so stoked to be included and deservedly so. Like their venue is mayhem. The drop that Cami and Chelsea did is bigger than any drop I've ever done in my life. Right. Massive. Huge consequences, exposure. Robin was flipping stuff with like, until you see what Robin Gooms flipped, it was big and gnarly to begin with. But if she overshot or knuckled that, she would have OTB'd to like maybe death. Right. Like it was this little catch berm at the end. I'm like, holy crap. So, Kelsey was there filming for Freeride Entertainment. So you see Kelsey in the mix and being utilized as like the forefront of women's freeride. And then all the girls just like coming together and laying down heater runs and, solidifying their, deserved, words are hard or no. They deserve to be there. Oh, yeah. I was so happy to be there and just witness it. And then the guys was like, man, the level that they're at is insane.
It's unrelatable.
It's so many years they've been doing it and pushing, come back to the same venue over and over again. Like if you're going to come, then you're going to level up. I think the canyon gap that Tyler McCall did was one of the craziest things I've ever done. And then, I heard like Ice had wanted to flip it. I'm like, what the hell, dude? Like, do I even want to watch this?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I can certainly answer with confidence that I would never want to, nor would I deserve being there. But like the level, if anybody thinks I'm good at biking, they're infinitely better. It's wild.
Right.
And just like their risk acceptance is next level.
And like the cost of progression and the cost of staying relevant is huge, right? And you ride with some of these people and women and men at Rampage, and can you decipher what is it like to look at a feature at a place like Rampage and put yourself in their shoe and say, yeah, that goes, or what is that process? Because some of these people.
Yeah, I think,
and especially for women who've never really ridden there.
Yeah, I think like with a lot of my riding, some people will say like, oh, you're gnarly or you're crazy. And I'm like, I really actually don't even think I'm that gnarly or crazy. It's just that I've ridden since I was like 4. So when it comes to, doing things, I look at it from every angle and I'm like, do I have the skills? Yep. Like, what are the variables here? Am I pretty much 100% confident I'm going to nail it? Yep. Then I'll do it. And I feel like I can look at a line, I can tell where my wheel's going to slip, and then I have a plan A, B, C, and D. So like if I slip here, I'm going there. If I slip there, I'm going here. If I slip there, I'm dead. No, I'm not doing it then. And that's the process that I saw with a lot of the athletes out there is especially the women, like it was really, they were pushing their limits, but they were really like still doing things that were like, I can hit a drop this big, I can ride a line this steep, I've done this, I just got to link it. And, in no way am I saying anything negative about the men, but like in my point of view, like how can you look at a 100-foot gap or a gap over a canyon into a corner and be like, oh yeah, I got that 100%. It's like, dude, how can you say that?
You can't say that.
And I'm not taking anything away from anybody, and then please don't anybody come after me for saying anything negative, but it just, that's for me, I can't comprehend that.
Right.
Like when T-Mac hit that, he greased it. But like, if you went too big, you are slamming into a vertical wall at full speed.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's just, your limit for progression. So that's why I will have reached my limit for that progression, because I don't want it at all. And it's funny, this little flow rider who's one of the most talented kids around here. I remember he's a young kid, and he said, Steve, the pursuit of avoiding mediocrity comes at great consequences. It's like, wow, that's very true and very mature.
Very mature of you.
And it actually has stuck with me, like for sure. The pursuit of just trying to, is the very high consequences. Mm-hmm. And so for me, you just got to be doing it for the right reasons. And a lot of times I'll look at things and lately I'm like, why am I doing this?
Right.
And my answer is because it's going to look really sick on Instagram, and guys are going to say, that's really sick of you for doing that. And then I say, I'm not doing it.
Right.
Because I'm like, dude,
it needs to feel right.
It's going to feel cool, or it's going to look cool for a day, and everyone's going to be like, yeah, you're so awesome, great. Yeah, never mind. Next day, no one cares. So I try to look at that. That's the lens I use for things now.
And so what do you think about really, really talented young riders doing some incredible things and things that you would pass on? How do you think their perception of risk management and perception of reality of having a long mountain bike career or long mountain bike, time on the bike, how does that tie into, longevity? And
it's a very tough one, because when I was younger, not even that much younger, I walk back into the fire hall after a few days off, and guys are gonna be, dude, you gotta slow down, you're gonna die. And I would just look at them, I'm like, you guys are idiots, I'm invincible, I can't be touched. Like, I know that sounds cocky, but that's how I felt. So when it comes to young people, I think like you can't get like maturity and experience without experience. So you can't just tell that to young riders and have them just take your word for it. Like, they're going to figure it out themselves. Right. But on the other hand, with truly, confidence is a game changer when it comes to your chances of being successful in a race or on a line. Like, if a lot of times when kids are younger, they're just 100% confident, And a lot of times that really works out well, because when you enter something without confidence, you ride 50% worse with full reservation, without the brain capacity to make decisions on your way through it. And then when you're riding with like full confidence, eyes open and alertness, you're just riding way better. Like it's like you win a race, you get momentum, you get better and better and better. And then you slam, and then now you have in the back of the mind that you can slam, and then you see racers that just never come back.
Right.
They're like, I lost the edge. So that's the edge. When you have the edge, you can kind of perform up at that level. When you've lost the edge, you need to acknowledge when you've lost the edge. I would say, I think I've lost the edge. I lost the edge when I slammed on busted axe during Tour de Nord.
Yeah.
I still ride gnarly stuff, but that edge is gone, and I'll never get it back, and I don't want it back, because I can't unsee it, and that's okay.
And that was a circumstantial crash, you think?
The reason I crashed on that, well, I ran out of skill, for one. Let's be honest. The reason I crashed there was because there was way too many people on that line, and more than 3/4 of them were not prepared to ride that line. Like at that moment, it had only been me, Remy, and Johan that had hit the line. And that's just because that is what we ride day in, day out, and it's a full braking control line. Certain riders that were there that I've seen ride way easier lines and crash. So when they're looking at it, they're like, oh yeah, just jump here and brake here. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna see a death here. So I got really stressed. Didn't want to own that. And my way of dealing with that was go make it look as heinous as possible.
Right.
So that no one wants to ride it, because it looks like I just got away with it. And then I didn't get away with it. Like I nose maneuvered in way faster. I was being a dick, and then I pulled, and as soon as I landed, I'm like, I'm done. And feet blew off the pedals, and then I got lucky. Like I torpedoed into the forest, and I almost hit a tree head on, and that would have been pretty bad. But yeah, I think that after that day, my love for like big group rides and kind of like amping each other up kind of dissipated. And in saying all these things, like I don't want to sound negative or jaded. It's just, these are my experiences, and this is what's led, like this is where what I value has changed. So.
Do you feel like you have a responsibility for, I don't want to say like coaching the young riders, but like influencing them the right way? Or
I mean, I don't know if I like feel a responsibility. I want to, like, I would love to impact the youth in the scene in a positive way as best as I can. But I also have to be like, there's only so much I can do. And I know from my experience that if I was listening to me, I would just tell myself to shut up. Like, you don't know, old man, like you don't know what you're talking about. So I think, I want to try to lead by example. And even though I still rode my fairly scary line in the backcountry that looked really high risk, I had 2 helicopters, North Shore Rescue and Squamish Search and Rescue, were contacted. I have radios. They had a whole written up plan from me telling them what time I was going to drop in, weather conditions, teams on site, vehicles, pins, everything. And then I had AADs, backboards, bleed control, fracture management, everything on site, that if things went bad, I had a way out of it. And the only reason I hit that was because I felt 100% confident. And I remember actually asking you and Margus, and I said, because I felt guilty that if I put myself in harm's way and crash in front of you, you guys have to document me deleting myself. And I remember asking you, I'm like, do you feel good with me on this? And you're like, yep. And I'm like, Margus, you okay? He's like, oh yeah, you good? And I'm like, okay. And that filled me with confidence. I know I kind of dipped out of the tangent there, but
I mean,
we
didn't say yes because we wanted the shot, but
No, but like I asked you as a friend, like if, it was good communication.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely, it's not a struggle for me, but I would really love to, moving forward, mentor the youth, teach risk assessment. But yeah, like it's a hard thing to do while also promoting jumping off a 30-foot drop in the backcountry.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to, man, my vocabulary is limited today. It's
I think you're doing great.
There's words I'm searching for that, I don't know. I just don't want to be doing one thing and then doing the other. So yeah, I'd like to lead by example. I'd like to promote risk assessment. That's what this film is.
Yeah.
But the enjoyment I have out of doing those gnarly, crazy things is massive. It's so satisfying, but you really do have to, know your limit and play within it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to. I think the thing is, I see too many kids taking the steps too quickly.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I did a 10-foot drop, so I'm gonna do a 30-foot drop. I'm like, what? You should do 30 10-foot drops and then do a 30-foot drop,
right,
maybe in a year or 10.
It's like the guy who jumps off a cliff and thinks that, hey, I'm flying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Until the ground comes up. So you don't know what can go wrong because you haven't had the experience of
exactly
things that go wrong.
Me and Wade Simmons were having a chat, and I really liked what he said here. There's infinitely better riders than me, but I've been riding my whole life. I think I'm pretty okay at biking. And Wade said, people can get to like 90 to 95% of our level quite quickly, actually. It's that 5% that we've gained through riding our entire life that is going to give us the longevity and the ability to make decisions and risk assessment. So you just can't just get experience. Right. So, but I'm not here to tell kids they can't do anything.
No, just do it smart.
I really want to see, do it smart and do it for the right reasons. And
have a plan B.
Yeah, I didn't grow up with a phone in my hand. It's got to be crazy. It's got to be crazy to get into a sport, to look at a screen and be like, yeah, but Tom Van Steenbergen just front flipped, an 80-foot step down and he's fine. Like, I should be totally fine hitting this. And I've seen that rationale. People be like, oh man, like, why am I scared of this? The guys are doing this. I'm like, dude, you're scared because something's telling you that you're scared. Listen to that. And when I coach or teach people, I always tell people, I'm like, ride it before in your mind before you do it. And once you've done that, you got to want it. Like if you're coming into Brutus so scared, don't do it. Do it when you like want it. You're like, I just want to feel that feeling of going off. And then you're going to hit it with confidence. You've seen it already. That's when you should hit it. But otherwise you're going to be backseat, reserved, scared. I'm like, well, why are you doing it? You don't want to do it.
Right.
And a lot of times it just comes down for the clip.
Right.
Everyone wants the clip.
Damn the clip.
Damn clip.
Damn the clip. That's so well said. Yeah. And having ridden with you numerous times, I never seen you pressure anyone into doing anything, which was super admirable because it can be intimidating riding with someone at your caliber. And like, feel it out, check your boxes, and only do it if you can see yourself doing it.
So like that's it. And the other thing that I want to say too is, you may have people hearing this. Accidents do happen. Yep. You cannot account for everything. Every time I pick up my bike, I accept the fact that today could be my last day on the earth. Maybe if I have that really freak accident, right. Maybe I really don't want it to be, but I go out and I make a conscious effort to make smart decisions. But yeah, you can't eliminate all risk from the sport. Mm-hmm. Even, some people would be like, well, what did they think was going to happen doing a 20-foot gap? I'm like, the same thing could happen if you fell off the side of a bridge on pipeline, right? Which I've seen happen. I actually have pulled people off the mountain with worse injuries. So yeah, it's an inherently dangerous sport. Yep. So is skiing, so is many things.
So is walking down a sidewalk. Yeah, I've been to a lot more pedestrians struck at my job than I have mountain bike rescues. Yeah. But
again,
it's the phones distracted by the phones.
It really is actually. It's actually insane.
Phone distracts you with the social media, or the phone distracts you?
Man, I'll be on crazy car accidents or fires and things, and I'm standing on the side of the road, and I'm watching cars coming at me, and they'll turn their head and rubberneck and look at the accident scene and me for like 5 seconds. And as they're driving, I'm like, dude, this guy is not looking forward. And we get secondary accidents all the time. That's boom, stressful. Crash. I'm like, pull over. Yeah. You idiots, deal with what the hell.
You deal with some really intense stuff day to day.
It's definitely, some days are chill and other days you see some really awful things. Mm-hmm. I do love it though. Yeah. But
yeah, that's incredible. I think this has been really fun.
It's a great podcast. It's a good chat.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah.
It's the comfort of home.
That's right. Yeah. It's the chairs. It's the Kelsey's decorations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's, I've really enjoyed those questions, and you actually hit on really where my mind truly is right now when it comes to biking and what I want to give back to the community and just the message that I want to portray to people.
We just want good brakes and good friends.
I just want good brakes and my bike to be less than 30 pounds and never break. I was kidding.
And always have someone fun to ride with.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for your time.
Thanks, buddy.
I think that was super fun. Yeah, Steve Vanderhoek.
Cheers.
Yeah, been riding on the shore for 30 odd years and saving people for 15 odd years. So you know who you're going to call.
Thanks so much
All
for
right.
listening.
Thank you.